Hey everyone, Sam from United People's TV. As you can see, I'm sitting here with a lovely, happy Chris Pajak, here to talk about Man United's game against Liverpool last night. Give me your thoughts on it, mate. I don't want to hear it, but...
Do you know what, mate? I was really impressed with Liverpool last night. I think first 2 minutes we really sort of started with the right type of pace and stuff. After that, there was about 10 minutes where Manchester United really got a grip of the game, started to pass the ball around, started to put us under pressure. Now, it's easy to forget those first 10 minutes because actually, you know, what happened in the game after that is Liverpool, I thought, took control for large part. But you know, we had to really settle our nerves and grow into that first 15 minutes. And I think we did really well. And ultimately, I think it came down to the atmosphere and stuff like that, mate. I think it was a really hostile atmosphere for Manchester United last night, and I think they struggled in it.
Struggled is putting it really politely. I think the first 10 minutes of any away game, especially against Liverpool or your big rivals, it's all about not conceding in those first 10 minutes, keeping it tight at the back. We had... one of our best chances was Rashford's after 30 seconds, and that was a half chance. That kind of sums up how shit we were. And I think, because obviously prior to this game, you've lost 4 times in a row against us. When you've lost those games, how have you felt? Have you felt, you know, the team's done the best they can and we've just lost? Or have you felt that the team really didn't perform and actually try to win the game?
I'll be totally honest with you. I can't remember all of them, mate. The last one I remember because that was the one that was fresh in my mind, and that one I felt like we really did well against. Rooney obviously scored and stuff like that, but I think Manchester United fans and you yourself and stuff like that really have taken this, or we've beaten them 4 times on the road, to heart. You've only played Klopp once in that time, you know, and Klopp's had a look at your side now, and I thought understood your weaknesses better than LVG understood ours last night.
But had we played against you last night how we played against Arsenal, it would have been a different game altogether. But as I said, there was 2 Uniteds that could have turned up last night. The one that I didn't want to turned up. Very pragmatic. Yes, I understand it's away from home. It's Europe. We did it under Fergie, 4-5-1, sit deep, hit hard and fast on the counter. But we didn't do that at all. We offered you nothing. And I think the thing that did it for me is when you took Sturridge off after about 60 minutes, you really sat back, and we had about a 10 to 15 minute period where we had some good pressure on you, and then we just didn't have anything from it. We didn't really test Mignolet, who I still consider your weakest player, and he saw the value of the goalkeeper. We came away with a 2-0 loss that should have been 4 or 5 if David De Gea wasn't in goal.
And I think I slightly disagree with you on the 15 minutes after Alan. I thought you had the 15 minutes before Alan came on. I think Alan was introduced on the 67th minute. From half-time, Man United really surprised me, because what happened is, to me anyway, it looked like he came for the away goal out of that tunnel at half-time, and I didn't expect LVG's side of Manchester United to come and attack us. And that first 15 minutes, when you went to 3 at the back, we struggled with how we were coping with it, and what we did was we changed it to a 4-3-3 when we put Sturridge off and we put Allen into midfield, and it actually enabled Henderson to play a little bit better because he could break forward a little bit more with the pace that he's got. And I felt that as soon as Allen entered the fray, we actually took control back of the game.
The worst thing is that, you know, going to Anfield as United, you're going to lose some games. We've historically played there pretty poorly over the last 5-6 years, but to come away from that, and I would say David De Gea is the only player that can hold his head up and said, you know what, I've done as much as I possibly could to win that game. It just wasn't good enough. Every other player, they didn't seem to want it. And in an atmosphere, you know, I'll give it, it was a good atmosphere right from the start. United fans were singing, but they were singing some fucking shite songs as well, which we'll touch on. But it just didn't seem like the players really took it to heart how important this game was. And it's strange because they've done it before under Van Gaal. They know what a Liverpool Man United game is, and I don't know what you can boil that down to, whether that's Van Gaal's instructions restricting the players or the players themselves just literally not applying themselves. But there was nothing positive that we can take away from that win, you know, as a United fan.
No, I think as Manchester United, if I was analysing Manchester United last night, what I would say is, actually, when you were defending with your strikers and your midfielders, I thought you let Mamadou Sakho have the ball, and we struggled to get past those first 2 lines, the strikers and the midfielders, quite often during the game. What happened was, though, when we did break those 2 lines, he was shambolic at the back. You know, whenever there was a ball in the middle of the defence, and listen, I'm a Liverpool fan, I know about fucking shite defending, to be perfectly honest with you. When that ball bounces to like, was it Smalling who slipped and tried to get a header, and Sturridge ends up forcing a great save out of David De Gea? There was little things like that happened all game. When we got into the heart of your defence, he just didn't seem confident at all, which is crazy because you've got one of the best goalkeepers in the world. You'd think he'd instill that confidence. You'd think, look at playing in that defence, you think, well, if I mess up, I kind of know 9 times out of 10 David De Gea is going to save my ass. So it should allow you the freedom. But what it seemed to do was go completely the other way. Is like, oh, they'll be like, oh no, we fucked up. David's saving us, thankfully, over and over again. And they just didn't step up. And even when he introduced Michael Carrick, the first 5 minutes of that second half, I thought to myself, that's a good substitution. I actually rate Michael Carrick. I think he's been massively undervalued his entire career. I think he's done a lot more for Manchester United than fans give him credit for. Maybe outside of Manchester. I don't know what Man United fans think of him. And I actually got a little bit worried, apart from the fact that he fell into the same category. You know, that second goal when Lallana, I think, flicks the ball to him, it's a terrible, terrible touch. Yeah. But that's a man playing out of position who's not used to, although you have to move the ball quickly in centre midfield. The difference is Lovren or Sacco last night would have hoofed that fucking ball miles.
All it needs to go out was for a throw-on. And Michael Carrick, I completely agree that Carrick, over his United career, has been underrated, but he's been shite this season. He really has been behind the pace. And it's probably, was he 30? I don't know.
I'd guess 33, 34.
Something like that. But he's past his prime, and when used in the right way, in the right position, he can still offer a lot to a team. When you drop him go back to a 3-5-2 at Anfield, you're asking for trouble. And we got trouble. And for me, that substitution was not good because he took Rashford off, who was, for some reason, playing more as a right-back than a right... First of all, he should have been starting up front. And he's starting on right wing because Van Gaal said, you know what, we're at Anfield, we've got to sit back, soak up the pressure, double up with Varela.
But isn't, like, all I've heard from Man United fans all season is Martial needs to play up front. So Martial plays up front and now it's Rashford plays up front.
No, but Martial was so isolated because we got no service to him. Martial is on the wings this season has created a lot. Whenever he's had the ball, he's ran at a player. But the problem then with him being out on the left is we'd never had a striker in the middle to finish it. Because invariably when Rooney and him were playing both on form for a little bit, but now Rooney's injured. When you got Rashford, his confidence has got to be sky high prior to that game, because I actually think he did quite well against West Brom still. You've pushed him to the right wing in more of a Danny Welbeck role, a workhorse up and down, rather than, you know what, just concentrate on scoring. And he didn't have it, and Martial got no service, and then we took Rashford off, we switched to a 3-5-2. For me, I saw that as, yes, those first 10, 15 minutes, we seemed to have something in terms of we slowed the game down, we got a bit more possession. I thought that's what we needed to do. But there was no penetration, and that's happened to United so much this season in terms of stagnant possession, nothing going forwards. And I felt like you taking Sturridge off was you closing the door. And I thought that gave us an opportunity to really hit hard and fast, and we just didn't do it. And I think United, strangely, are going to be happy with that 2-0.
I think they should be, mate. I think, as you said at the top of the video, it could have been 4 or 5-0 last night. It could have been a real embarrassment for you. And somehow, David De Gea saved you that egg on your face, basically. And it wasn't the only thing. Can you imagine
what De Gea is thinking on that coach back to Manchester? Because what the fuck am I doing at this club? For 3 years, he's been by far and away our best player. Yeah. He saved us on so many occasions. And it's happened again. He's playing at a level far above what his teammates should be doing. And as we showed against Arsenal, we can do it. But for me, that shows it's a bit of a mentality issue. If you can do that against Arsenal with 3 weeks later, you do that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've had consistency issues all season long as well. So I appreciate that when a side's playing inconsistently, it's tough as a fan, obviously. I just feel at the minute, it's like Liverpool, we're crossing on the stairs, to be perfectly honest with you. I feel like Liverpool are walking up the stairs and Man United are sort of walking down the stairs, and hopefully we can give you that little bit of a push that sends you into a bit of a spiral or whatever. But it doesn't feel like there's any, for the amount of money that you spent, and it's bandied around far too often and stuff, but the amount of time that Van Gaal's had now, there doesn't seem to be any noticeable improvement to the average fan who just kind of catch on Match of the Day and a few of the bigger games. No. There just doesn't ever seem to be any improvement, and it's not like, I'm not a Man United expert or anything like that, but I would be massively unhappy because there's no identity in that side. There's nothing that, when I used to watch Manchester United and they were winning the league titles every bloody year and all that type of stuff, you had this wave upon wave of attacking football that would come down the wings and you knew they were going to score.
Yeah.
You just felt it. You knew that you'd crumble within 5 minutes, or whoever they were playing is, that in the next 5 to 10 minutes, Man United are going to score. And you don't see that from this side at all. It's slow, it's ponderous, it's fucking obvious. I think a lot of the time where
it's
the pass
so
is going to
predictable
be.
now. It's painful. It's painful how predictable. You saw it in Scholes and Rio's reactions after the game. Everyone has a go at United fans for being arrogant and spoilt, but Scholes was absolutely spot on in that United have created this identity over the last 20 years where we are at the top of the game. Football's a competitive sport. If you don't want to win every single game, you're not going to win every single game. It's the nature of competing. And we've created this identity over the last 20 years through hard work and graft, which has now been eroded after the last 3. As you said, we're entirely predictable. And the worst thing about that result last night is no fan is surprised by it. No fan at all. Players didn't seem to want it. It felt a bit off going into the game. It's weird. You win 4 games in a row, you think, you know what, we've got some momentum here. Van Gaal sucked that momentum back out by switching the tactics against West Brom. We reverted to type. We became predictable again. They won 1-0. We go to Anfield. We were predictable again. You win 2-0. And I didn't even think that you played that great last night. I feel that we just whimpered and we let you come on to us. I thought had we applied ourselves a bit more, we definitely could have got at least an away goal.
Maybe so. I mean, I think that what as a Liverpool fan, what I saw last night from us was it didn't look like we were going to concede last night. There are games in the season that not very few and far between, in fairness, Sam, when our defences looked really good. Lovren, although the crowd was singing Sacco's name, I thought Lovren was superb. But the amount of stick that we've given him, he looks like he understands how to play in this role. Because when we bought him from Southampton, he had Schneiderlin and he had Wanyama playing in front of him. When Rodgers bought him and played him, we had like one defensive midfielder. But now that we've got those like the Chan and Henderson, the two in a bit of an axis, he seems a lot more comfortable. He's also been told to just hoof the fucking ball if he doesn't feel comfortable. Whereas I think under Rodgers, he was told to play football and try and play it out from the back. That's not part of his game. What you do see is him winning tackles and just bumping it out for a throw-in, and that gives us time to get back and defend. And I thought at times we were really good going forwards, and at times we dropped off a little bit, took 10 minutes breather. I've seen that all season though. Klopp's is a really high pressing game, and sometimes the players do need to take a little bit of a break in the game and almost manage the game in that scenario. And I thought there was times in the game when we did that and he didn't create when we decided to take our little breaks, and when we pushed on, we always looked more likely to score.
I mean, what do you think going into that game at Old Trafford? Do you think it's finished already?
No, not at all. Not at all. Like, I've been a football fan for far too long now, mate. I've seen far too many bad beats at Old Trafford over the years to think that that's over. It's going to be a massive struggle for you. It's going to be a massive struggle. 1 goal
from you, we need 4.
Yeah.
So if I'm Klopp, I'm telling my players to hit hard and fast and get that early goal and sink it quick.
Yeah, but what would you be doing if you're LVG?
If I'm LVG, I've got plan A, which isn't working, so I'm going to keep repeating plan A, crossing my fingers and hoping something's going to change, because if anything was going to change, it's when the kids came in, they showed, I keep saying this to people, it's like when you're young and you're playing football, you don't go, I want 65% possession in this game and 97% pass accuracy. I just want to score goals. I just want to play football and win games. That's what the kids did, and it brought in a naive excitement, because they don't need to worry about the results or anything. They just want to play football.
The problem is, though, mate, when it comes down to crunch time, most managers, even the best ones for bringing youth in, and Van Gaal's done that to a fair extent at Manchester United. Kenny Dalglish, the second time at Liverpool, brought youth in that 6 months towards the end of the season before he got given the job. The problem is, when it comes to crunch time, they revert to type, because there's so much riding on it, there's so much money riding on it. Look at last night, Rashford's the one that gets pulled at half-time. Who are your substitutes that you introduced? You introduced Michael Carrick, Bastian Schweinsteiger, did Herrera come on? These are all experienced players at the end of the day, and they didn't do enough in the game, and I felt like maybe you should have gambled a little bit more and kept the kids on, because they play with that fearlessness that you're talking about, that they just want to score goals. The occasion might not have frightened them, but when you revert to type, it's very, very difficult. There's only one time that I can think that it's actually done well, and that was at Chelsea, when Di Matteo, took charge and brought the old players back in. it never seems to work for anybody else.
But Van Gaal has had his type, and he's reverted to it so many times this season, and it hasn't worked. That for me, looking on from the outside in, you've got to try and look somewhere else. When you're repeating the same mistakes and you're expecting different results, that's insanity. And that's kind of what you see that Steve McLaren's been sacked by Newcastle now. Since December, Steve McLaren has lost 9 games at Newcastle. Since December, Van Gaal has lost 9 games at Man United.
Wow.
Yeah, he's still in the job. I mean, you wouldn't ever have this at Real Madrid. You wouldn't have it at Bayern Munich. And you've got to understand the stature of the club.
You wouldn't have it at big clubs, basically, is what you're saying.
You wouldn't have it. You wouldn't fucking have that at Liverpool either. But United just seem to be. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Whether Mourinho has been agreed X, Y, Z. We're not savvy to that sort of information, so we can only go what we can see in front of us. And right now, it's just Van Gaal's got United driving the wrong way down a one-way street, and he's blinded by his own. I don't know inabilities.
He's bullheaded and he believes in what he's doing, isn't he? And sometimes that can be good, but I think right now, LVG, and I said it when he became manager, you guys, he's too long in the tooth, mate. You know, what you talked about Liverpool and beating us 4 times and 5 if you want to include the friendly and all that type of stuff. But when you're talking about relevant European experience, what's he done in Europe in the last 5 years? He's got knocked out of the Champions League this season. Yeah. He was Holland manager. He wasn't involved in European competition. You know, Klopp might not have won anything in those times. LVG was 1995. He won it with Ajax. He hasn't got to a final in over 20 years in European competition. 2 decades. 2 decades. That is not relevant European experience. That is him relying on the past, like Roy Hodgson relies on that title in Sweden that he got in the 70s, you know what I mean? That he's not fucking won anything recently. And the clubs that LVG's been at, he should have been winning things with those clubs. You look when he was he Bayern Munich manager? How's he not, you know?
Well, to be fair, he nearly won the treble with Bayern Munich. Obviously lost to Mourinho's Inter Milan. So he did have success, but that was in 2010, and football has changed a lot in those 5 years. I mean, I was excited when Van Gaal came in. And up until about November time, I could see the direction he was taking us. It's like watching you under Klopp. You might be having shit performances, but you can see the direction. You can see what Klopp's trying to do. Van Gaal had that up until November. And now he's a deer in the headlights. He doesn't know what to do apart from stick to plan A. And when you're taking Herrera out of the team last night and putting Ferret and Fellaini in there, Herrera and Schneiderlin, we finally seem to find a central midfield partnership that's working for us. And you take it apart. It's self-inflicted. It's madness. It really is. I mean, I don't mind losing to Liverpool if the players look like they've fucking left their hearts on the pitch, and the manager looks like he's tried absolutely everything to try and win that game. But I can't say that about last night, and that's the worst indictment of it all. All United fans are sitting here waiting for the inevitable. We all know that Van Gaal's on death row. He's not going to be our manager next season. So we're stuck in this limbo now, start of March. We play West Ham on Sunday, we play you on Thursday, then we play City away next Sunday. Lose all those 3 games?
Won't be in the job, will he?
He definitely won't be in the job, and that's season over.
And it's bad as well because we haven't got a game this weekend.
Exactly. Our squad's thinner than yours, and we've got an extra game plonked in between, which is a big game.
Yeah. So, and you know, again, from a Liverpool perspective, one of the things that I think we dealt with really well last night is when you went to that 3 at the back. I thought we changed it tactically really well, and we've not really done that too much in game before. But what it's noticeable is we've had 3 games a week for like nearly 2 months. From December to January, we played more games than anyone. Do you know what I mean? But so what Klopp was always talking about was, I've got recovery time, I've not got training time. And you can see how our schedule's just kind of fallen apart over the last couple of weeks. We're not playing 2 games every single week. You can clearly see he's had more time on the training ground because something seems to be clicking. You know, the way you can go from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3 with one change, take Sturridge off, and actually seem to understand exactly what you're supposed to be doing. That's not something that Liverpool's done this season. So the more training time we get, the better. Flip that onto Manchester United. That's why you need to get rid of your manager now. Because you need to have a transition period where your new manager comes in, instills his ideas before next season. Because next year is going to be a transition year all over again. You guys can't afford to be doing that.
And we got Euro 2016 in the summer. So all the players are going to be gone and away until the end of July. Exactly. Then you're straight into maybe a 2-week grace period before we go on a pre-season tour of China. Maybe behind the scenes, I'm convinced that Mourinho's coming in. I can't see anybody else who's more suited to the role. Yes, he's got his downfalls. We all know what they are. But United are at a point now where replacing Fergie was always going to be impossible. A drop in standards was always going to happen. These 3 years can be pushed aside. You know, there was 3-year periods where we didn't win anything under Fergie, and everyone was questioning it. But he recovered because that was Fergie. If we fuck up this next managerial appointment, we risk repeating your demise that you had back in the start of the 90s. And for me, replacing Van Gaal is more important than replacing Fergie, because you can recover from these 3 years. We get these next 3 wrong, it's going to be a long time recovering from that. So yeah, that's it for the analysis of the game. Cheers for coming on, Chris. I would say I was happy talking about that, but that was a painful 20, 30 minutes. I'm not really looking forward to that game. Not really looking forward to Thursday. I don't know what's going to happen there. But anyway, cheers for coming on. Leave your comments below as always. Drop a like on the video and subscribe to UPTV and RedmenTV if you really want to. I don't know why you would, but I feel obliged to say it.
Because we've got some boss content on there.
You do have.
Football fans.
Especially Yara talking to Paul. I think that's probably the best thing on your channel, mate. Take it easy, Chris, anyway.
So are they?
Yeah, that should be sweet.